For me, it was all about education and what makes me different and why did I create this product. So whenever I would talk, if you go back in Facebook and Instagram, I think those videos are still there, and I would literally just talk about like what's going on inside your mouth and how regular toothpaste and dental products are destroying your mouth, the microbiome, and what's it doing to nitric oxide production.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Beauty and the Brand podcast. I'm here with Trina Felber. She is the founder of Primal Life Organics, clean beauty brand that's disrupted the skincare industry with its hormonal save. She is also an advanced practice nurse turned entrepreneur. Trina built PLO from her kitchen to a multi-million-dollar business, empowering thousands to detox their routines. She's also the best-selling author of Beauty's Dirty Secret, and a leading voice in the clean beauty movement. And we're so grateful to also have her as one of our C2C founders. So welcome, Trina.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. I just love everything you're doing for the beauty industry, and more importantly, the entrepreneurs that are trying to get their brands out there and trying to do startups. So thank you.
Thank you. I can't wait to dig into your story because you have such a journey of such a breadth of knowledge and experience. So let's get into it. Take me back for a second. Practicing as a nurse, what was sort of that moment when you realized that the entire skincare industry was potentially harming people and that you needed to do something about it?
Yeah, my background is I've been a nurse since like 1992. I graduated from anesthesia school. So I've got a master's in anesthesia, and it was the summer of 2007. And I was getting married. My husband and I was graduating from anesthesia school, and we were going to Fiji to get married. I was turning 40 that summer. 39. I think I was turning 39 that summer. And we knew we wanted to start a family right away. So we decided we were going to go to Fiji to get married because we knew once we had kids, we wouldn't be able to travel much. So I graduated. We went to Fiji. I didn't even think I'd get pregnant because I suffered with, irregular periods and, that type of stuff. But we got pregnant on the honeymoon. Super
That's
excited.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was amazing. I was 39. Didn't expect it. I know my family history of fertility problems. So I just really expected us to struggle.
Okay, so same.
So I was prepared mentally.
I assumed the same thing just because so I'm an only child and my mother had a hard time, I guess, having a second child. And so I always, just from genetic history, I just always assumed that it would be difficult for me too. And it also happened to me on the first try, both times.
It was crazy. Yeah. And so we were super excited because, we were both prepared to have a struggle and have to go through fertility things. So anyway, we came back to the US. I started working as a CRNA. I was 7 weeks pregnant and I miscarried. And it was that miscarriage that literally sparked in me and my husband, because we're both health focused. We were both eating healthy, working out, we were runners, everything. So we felt like we were both healthy, but we both decided, let's take a look at what's going on around us and let's figure it out if we can make ourselves even healthier. So we looked at our environment. We got, air purifiers. We switched our laundry detergent and our cleaning supplies and all those things. We started eating even healthier. And it never dawned on me to check my skincare until, luckily, I got pregnant again right away. So it was like shock number 2. I was pregnant again with our daughter. And I was at week 7. So I'm very in tune to what's going on because I'm very nervous because this is at the point that I miscarried the first. So, those feelings of, oh my God, it's going to happen again. And I got up one morning, I was getting ready for work and I picked up my moisturizer. And by this point, I'm literally been checking for toxins in everything except my skincare. So it just dawns on me, why don't you just look at the label and read the ingredients? And I thought I was using a healthy brand. And right there, I pick it up, I look at it and I go, oh my God, those are chemicals. And I know that these are passing through to the baby. So I literally ditched. I literally tossed it in the garbage. And I thought to myself, what can I do? What can I use? And by the way, I'm 39. My face has acne all over. Like I always called it my forest. They weren't big breakouts, but it was always like these
The
tiny
like
pimples.
milia, is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Something like that.
Yeah, like that. And I would get them on my cheek. And my skin was very oily. I'd been on Accutane twice, once in my 20s, once in my 30s. I did everything that anybody can imagine to get rid of acne. Nothing ever worked. So here I am. I'm thinking, what can I put on my skin? Terrified of oil, of course, because it's going to make my skin oilier, because that's what we were told. And it doesn't matter to me anymore because isn't about me anymore. It's about my baby. So I went to the kitchen, and the only thing I could think of putting on my skin was olive oil, because those ladies in Italy are beautiful. And I just hear, that they're putting olive oil on their skin. So I thought, I'm just going to do this.
That's amazing.
And I'll deal with the acne. Right. So that's what I did. I started putting olive oil on my skin. Lo and behold, my acne went away. My oiliness normalized. I no longer had oily skin. And I started actually getting compliments on my skin and how great it looked. And so then I started dabbling. Like I had no desire to be an entrepreneur. I had just graduated. I'm loving my job. I always say this happened by mistake. So I'll make a long story short. So anyway, I'm dabbling with ingredients. I'm like, okay, if I can make face mask, like I literally threw everything away, including my makeup. I said, if I can't make it, I'm not going to use it if it's got junk in it. For some things like shampoos and like that kind of stuff, I kind of was like, I'll figure that out as I go. But for like beauty products, I literally was like, I'm a nurse anesthetist. I wear a hat that comes down right above my eyes and a mask. So really, it doesn't matter what my skin looks like. Well, I'll just throw everything out. So I started making everything for myself, and it literally changed my skin. I started making baby products when my daughter was born. So she's about 3 weeks old, and I'm breastfeeding her. And I tell my husband, and by this time I'm giving things to friends. I'm making things, I'm giving things to friends for feedback and, whatever. I wasn't even thinking about starting a business. But I said to my husband as I was breastfeeding her, I said, and he's walking away from me. I can still picture it. He's walking away from me. I'm feeding her. I could probably sell this stuff. Like, this is so good. People are loving it. I could probably sell. He's been an entrepreneur since he was 13 years old. So he just literally, that's all I needed to say. He turns around and he says, okay, I'll get someone to do your logo, figure out what you want to be called, and I'll go start a website. And at that point, it was all HTML. Like you had to know how to code. And
I remember that
Shopify
time because I started a website that was like not related to beauty at all. It was called the Velvet Underground or the Underground Velvet. And it was all about like New York City, like hot spots or like cultural spots that I liked, that were interesting, that we wrote about. It wasn't successful.
I love it. Well, it was called Olive's Organic Botanicals is what I came up with because I was using olive oil in every product. So I really wanted it to speak to what I was using. So we called it Olive's Organic Botanicals. My husband got the website going. He got somebody to do my logo. And here I am. By the way, if anybody's not in the medical field, when you're in the medical field, you have no idea about anything in business.
Yes,
nothing. Like you don't know anything. So if I can do it with zero knowledge in business, anybody can literally do it. And so I literally just put one foot in front of the other, and I just started doing it. And by the time I launched, so I wanted to have a full line of products before I launched. So I took a full year and did everything myself. I printed my own labels. I did all the website copy, the photos. My husband had to put it into the, HTML, but we got that all done. I launched on my daughter's birthday in 2009. And Olive's Organic Botanicals actually did pretty good. And, I'm doing this as a side hustle. I was in a couple magazines, like Style magazine, like just in the little blurb.
Still.
And I was getting orders, and it was actually going fairly well. And then I'll save what happened next. I'll let you.
Yeah. No, I want to know. Now you got me on I'm like, what happened next?
What happened next? So I ended up having twins. right after my
That's
daughter.
amazing.
So when she was 2 years old. So I'm running Olive's Organic Botanicals. I probably have like 20, 25 products. Going fairly well. I was getting regular orders, regular customers, not blowing up by any means, because the beauty industry, everybody knows, organic, because I was using the word organic, was very saturated. It's a very red ocean, if anybody understands the red ocean versus blue ocean. So I was in the red ocean with all the sharks, and I read the book The Secret, and I was reading the book The Secret, and at the same time my husband started a CrossFit. Home the paleo diet. And so we were converting to paleo and eating paleo. We were already eating healthy, but we converted to paleo. And one day I'm reading The Secret. I was on chapter 2. I never finished the book because I got to chapter 2. I figured out my secret and I put the book down and never picked it back up because I never had time. I was too busy. But the secret was, oh my gosh, I have this entire business that is oil-based, and basically all of my ingredients are plant-based or animal-based. That's a paleo diet. And so I Googled paleo skincare and nothing came up except for there was Paleo Hacks was brand new, a website called Paleo Hacks. And there was like a website. So there was forum. One person said, "Hey, what do you use for paleo skincare?" And the other person said, "Coconut oil." And I was like, "I have a whole company for you people."
That is amazing.
I know. So my boys, I waited about 6 months. I did all the back end stuff before I launched. My boys were little. I have 3 little tiny kids. I'm working 45, 50 hours a week in anesthesia. And I built my business when they would go to bed.
Yeah. As many of our listeners do, like so many.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You kind of have to when you're starting out, especially if you have another job. And so, or kids. And so I rebranded the company into Primal Life Organics Paleo Skincare because I wanted it to speak. So I niched completely down.
This is literally like you're speaking to me, because this is everything that we teach, as you know. So this is a beautiful example.
Yeah. So and you know, I wasn't terrified. So many people are like terrified that they're going to lose business when they niche down. I wasn't terrified at all because it spoke to me. So I was like, I built my brand for me, and whoever finds me, good for them. And I'm so glad I have customers and people finding me because I want to help people. But I literally did this for me and not anyone else. And I feel like because I did that, my heart and soul was into it. Every product I made was made for me or my family. And it was so good that I put it on a website, and anybody that wanted to share, they could join my family. So I built Primal. I renamed it or rebranded to Primal Life Organics Paleo Skincare. I'm the original paleo skincare company. Nobody else was doing this at the time. So all of the people searching for paleo found me.
Literally unbelievable. Like this makes me so happy.
Google. I would get contacted from Google all the time, and they'd be like, "Hey, we can help you with your marketing." I'm like, "No, you can't." And they're like, "Yes, we can." So they'd look at my stuff. They'd be like, "We can't help you. You own the first 6 pages of Google."
Funny.
I'm like, "I know."
Why are you contacting me?
So I didn't really need to do any kind of marketing.
This is literally what I'm talking. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So people could find me really easy because when they were looking for paleo food, the next thing that would come up is skincare in their minds. And so they would search for paleo skincare, and boom, there I was. So I decided, this is just probably the little brat in me deciding, like one day Paleo magazine came out and I was like in the grocery store. I'll never forget. I'm in the health food store and I see Paleo magazine. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect place for me to advertise. But I'm not going to advertise until they contact me. I want them to find me and reach out to me
versus paid. For those who are listening and want to understand the difference.
Yeah. So I didn't mind paying for an ad, but I didn't want to have to reach out to them. I wanted them to find me. So I do a lot of manifesting. So I just put it out in the universe that, oh, very interesting, but I want them to contact me. So it blew my mind. Only like 2 weeks went by and I'm driving home from work and I checked my messages and there was a message from Kane Credicott, the founder, editor of Paleo magazine, calling me, asking me to do a full interview in Paleo magazine. And by the way, would you like to, this is the perfect magazine for you to run an ad in.
Of course.
So of course I did that. So Paleo Magazine ran a full spread on me, and I did advertise for quite a few years in Paleo Magazine. But yeah, so that's at that point, you have Mark Sisson and Liz Wolfe. When I launched that company, Paleo was brand new. So everybody was monitoring and doing their own customer service, their own websites. Everything was literally infant stage being built. And so I could get in touch with Liz Wolfe and
That's
Mark
amazing.
Sisson if anybody's in the paleo space. And so we started collaborating, and they all promoted me because there was nothing else. Like, I was the paleo answer for skincare. And so I was on all the paleo podcasts. I was on in their blogs, and they would email about me. And so literally that's how I grew. For the first year or two, probably 2 years, I literally just grew organically because of the niche that I went into.
I love the story, for obvious reasons. I'm going to ask this question, and it's sort of ironic, I guess, an ironic question, but how much do you think positioning played in the first 2 years of your success?
You mean the positioning of my brand? Like what 100%. 100%. Because I have the start as Olive's Organic Botanicals, which I ran for three and a half years, 3 years. And I got places, but I didn't get anywhere. Like literally it was like turning the light on when I made the branding switch. And I knew when I was reading The Secret, and I was thinking, your wheels are turning, and we're turning paleo, Google paleo skincare, and boom, the light bulb went off. I knew I couldn't even wait. I told my husband, I have to do this. Like, I have to do this. This is going to be, I have to do this before someone else does it. And boom.
Amazing. Yeah. I love this story so much. So what happened once people kind of caught on to your, like, oh, she's the paleo skincare. Like, she's the one, this is the brand that's doing paleo. They're getting successful. Did you start to have like competitors coming up into the space, or people kind of trying to do what you were doing?
It was kind of fun. So, and I'm a very open person, and I don't mind competition, and I even have helped my competitors. But I went to, so there was Paleo FX and Dave Asprey. I don't know if Dave was doing events back then, but Paleo FX was the big paleo event. And so I would go to the paleo event, bring my booth, bring my products, and people I was a celebrity in the paleo world. People knew me because I was the face of the brand. So this is also when Facebook started coming out. Like, you could start to do video on Facebook. So I'm one of the first people that ever did video, videos. And then there was the lives. And so I was doing all of that, interacting with the community, the paleo community. So everybody knew me. People today still know me. I literally was walking at the grocery store the other day, and a woman just walked by me. She goes, "I love your products, by the way." And I was like, "Oh, I'm in the airport, people." So it's actually really kind of cool. But my face, I was the brand, the face of the brand, but I wasn't just the face of the brand. I did the education on why you need to make the switch. So let's see, it was probably 2, maybe 3 years into the company. So we knew that we had a good brand. We knew that this was what people were looking for, and it wasn't going to go away. But I was worried that paleo, being a diet, would go away, or not necessarily go away, but wouldn't be the fad anymore. So about 2 to 3 years in, we decided that we wanted to get rid of the paleo skincare. So we were Primal Life Organics paleo skincare, but we would get questions from people. "I don't do the paleo diet. Can I still use your skincare?" So instead of explaining to people, yes, you can still use our skincare and why, we rebranded again. I rebranded that company probably 6 or 7 times. It's a fun process. So, but we rebranded as Primal Life Organics, and that way people weren't concerned if they weren't doing the paleo diet. But I always believed that education was key. And so my emails always have education in them, even in what I'm doing today. It's all about the education of why this is so important for your health to make the switch.
I love that you said that. Like, why is this so important to make the switch? Like, that's so key. It's not just like, oh, this has some features and this is why this has this great motto. Like, why is that? Why does that matter to me? Is what you're saying, essentially.
And always, 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 I know, I know who your audience is. So I always like to make sure I include that, like little teaching points,
Yes,
things that I
please.
wish that I knew when I was starting out. So in your emails and in your marketing, anything you're doing, always think about the objectives that people are going to have and answer those objectives in your, like when someone buys a product, one of the first things I always like to do in the follow-up sequence after they bought the product was answer every objective about that product, every question, customer service. My customer service team was instructed to write down questions that came up over and over and over again. And then they would give them to me and I'd write the answer and we would put that in the post-purchase sequence. Amazing. So that before they even got the product, so for one of our products, our tooth powder, tiny, 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 when people buy our tooth powder or would buy the tooth powder as the first product, and they're used to getting a tube of toothpaste that's huge, and they get this tiny little thing that they spent twice as much on as that tube. And the first thing was like, this is so tiny. So my first email is a picture with a hand of the product that shows the size. Oh, and I would say, I know you're going to think this is tiny, but you need a lot less. And then I would instruct them on how to use it and how long that will last. So anytime you have a product and people, how do I use this? Any questions? What is this ingredient? Blah, blah, blah. Make sure your customer service, or if it's you doing customer service, answer those in your post-purchase flow because it will cut down on your customer service emails. And that way,
Love that.
So that's a big, like one of the things that I learned along the way.
Such a great tip. Speaking of products, what was...
I know you had that question. I was laughing because I'm not going to give you your traditional answers. I didn't have a hero product so anyone out there, the line of products, I didn't have a hero product for probably 4 years, maybe 4 years.
Interesting.
Because I had niched down so much. So when someone bought something from me, they loved it and they would buy everything else. So
that actually makes a lot of sense.
And so I didn't really have I didn't have a hero product until we were about 4 years in, maybe 5. And we discovered that the tooth powder was my hero product. And so then we did go all in. We kind of, because at that point that's when Facebook ads were, you could start doing the ads and things like that. What we noticed was that when we posted about the tooth powder and we had a funnel for the tooth powder, that would do really well. All of the other ads weren't doing quite as well. So we decided that we were going to go all in, and sort of like we niched down in the industry, we were going to niche down in the brand and really just focus 90% of our energy on dental and do the education. And then in the post-purchase sequence, we would introduce them to all of our other products. Because if they were finding us for dental, let's go there. Because I am the first person in the industry, even the dental industry, that talked about healing cavities and how to do it. And I have a great story about that product, which is also another great feature that I would just talk about how my daughter had a cavity in a tooth that came in naturally. When she was born at 2 years old, this tooth erupted and had a cavity in it. I took her to the dentist. The dentist took one look at the tooth and said, okay, that's huge. We're going to put a temporary filling in it. And when the filling falls out every 2 months, we'll decide, do we pull the tooth or do we put another temporary filling in it? He goes, but we're going to have to pull the tooth within a year because that cavity's going to keep getting bigger and bigger every time. So I'm walking out. I hadn't even dived into dental yet. I didn't even think, it wasn't on my radar. And so I'm walking out of the dentist office and the dentist says to me, oh, don't worry, Mom. We put a temporary filling in it. Now we just hope for the best. And I'm like, my reaction was, no, we don't. Oh my God. But I'm so glad he said that. If he didn't say that to me, my whole dental line wouldn't exist. So as an entrepreneur, you always have to be aware of what people are saying to you and what your reaction to it is. Because if someone says something to you, like he said to me, and my reaction was, oh my God, you're wrong. no way. My reaction was, I'm going home and I'm going to figure this out. That tooth isn't going to get pulled. If I can make that tooth last over a year, I will have done my job. So I went home, I started researching, and I realized very quickly that he was right. If we kept using what we were using, her tooth was going to have to be pulled within a year. So I found Dr. Weston A. Price, who was a dentist in the early 1900s. I'm from Ohio. I'm from the Cleveland area. He was from Cleveland, which was shocking to me. But he discovered the link between sugar and cavities, and he spoke out about this. And he was part of the ADA. He was on the board of directors of the ADA, and they basically did all of his research and got rid of him. They didn't want people to know what he was teaching. So I found his information, and I literally built my dental line off of his research. And my daughter's tooth, the one that was supposed to be pulled within a year, fell out naturally at the age of 12. So 10 years. That original filling, which is temporary fillings don't last.
Yes.
That original temporary filling was still in place. We never had to replace it because the tooth remineralized over that filling.
That is the craziest thing, because that's the craziest thing. My mom's a dentist, and she just retired, but there's right here. I actually, one time, I don't remember what happened, but like a corner of it came off, and literally like a corner. And my mom, it's the tiniest corner, right? And she filled it in, and that was like 15 plus years ago. And it has not come out since. But that's so interesting that you said that it mineralized around the filling. So interesting.
Yeah. So it held the filling in place, but it protected, because the bacteria was what was going to get in and make that temporary filling loose and pop out. And then they would have to scrape the tooth. So what it did is it put the remineralized over and around that temporary filling so that bacteria couldn't get through. Never had a problem with that tooth. It fell out naturally at the age of 12. So that became my hero product and my hero story that went with that product. So I started talking about that, and I created this whole dental line based on remineralizing, restoring the microbiome. I'm the first person that talked 12 years ago about restoring the microbiome in the mouth. So for me, it was all about education and what makes me different. And why did I create this product? So whenever I would talk, if you go back in Facebook and Instagram, I think those videos are still there. And I would literally just talk about what's going on inside your mouth, and how regular toothpaste and dental products are destroying your mouth, the microbiome, and what's it doing to nitric oxide production. So all of that. So I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to think about how they stand out and what makes them different from everything else around them.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, speaking of toothpaste, which one do you use that you like? Oh, you make your own. Yeah, that's right. I think I remember you telling me that.
Right now, I'm no longer with Primal Life. I sold the company.
Which we'll get into.
In 2023. I'm no longer with the company. It was a little bit of bad blood that happened. We'll get into a little bit of that. But I make all of my own products. I do test products, because right now what I do is I teach women how to detox their personal care products. So I love all of the brands that you're bringing in, because a lot of these are brands that aren't well known yet. And they're not well known yet, but I like to be able to promote them to my community, because I have a private community of women, and they're looking for this stuff. So there's, the options are getting bigger. When I started this 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I literally had like 2 or 3 brands that I could recommend, and now I have quite a few more. So it's getting better, but my standards are extremely high. So I don't tolerate. And if there's something in a product, including packaging, I don't tolerate it, and it's a no for me.
Have you connected with Jeannie Journo of Beauty Heroes? Oh my gosh, you need to connect with her. I'm going to send you her podcast episode. Have a listen, because you and her would align tremendously, and she's very well connected with different brands that kind of fit that bill. She's extremely stringent with her requirements and has, since the inception of Beauty Heroes, has not wavered on like sort of, I wouldn't say rules, but just boundaries.
Standards.
Her standards.
Yeah. I would love that.
I'll connect you, but can you tell me a little bit more about, as you were growing this business, so you repositioned to more of the dental care. By the way, this is textbook, like beautifully done. Like, I know you were a first time entrepreneur, but this was like,
it all happened by accident.
Like, this is
I
the
always
process.
say, you have to follow your instinct. But you also have to listen. Like it was our marketing team, not marketing team, our CMO. Like we worked with or CFO, Chief Financial Officer. So we had a financial team that looked at the numbers, and they're the ones that said, Trina, let's look over here. Let's look at your sales. Cause I'm a nurse. I don't, the business stuff. I would look at it. I knew what was selling just by the volume that was going out and what we were making in the kitchen. But I didn't look at the numbers in the way that, they look at them. So they brought it up to me that, look, this is your hero product. Your dental, but you have, as an entrepreneur, because you love all your products. I know, I get it. I used to make too many. So you have to listen and be open to whoever your team is that's telling you or feeding you with information. So when they told me that that's your hero product, we need to go deep on it. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Why are we wasting all our money trying to get people to buy deodorant when they really want my tooth powder? I can sell them deodorant later.
100%.
Actually, what I did is I created a kit, my dental kit, and I put a sample of my deodorant in the dental kit. Yeah, so that they would get it, and that would increase my sales.
Textbook, like so beautifully done. So within like 5 years, what did you grow your sales to, if you're willing to share?
I think 5 years in, we were probably around 6 million. I think we did around 6 million 5 years in.
When did you hit 7 figures? Do you remember?
It was probably 8 years in. It's probably 8 years in. Things were changing.
Oh, no, 7 figures.
It was so
like
easy.
1 million. 1 million.
Oh, 7 figures. Yeah. 1 million. Year third year. Our first year out the door, I think we did around 70,000. And I'll tell you, I know you had one of the questions in there and I wrote it down. I don't remember what the question was. But the one thing that I did differently, it was something like, what did you do different, whatever. But so the one thing that I did that other people told me wouldn't work, and this is my husband, God love him, Mr. Marketing. It was our first year. Maybe it was, when did you know your business was going to be a success? I knew instinctively when I rebranded, but the proof was on Thanksgiving Day that first year. So this is back in 2012. This was before all of the Black Friday onlines. Everything, you were still going to the store on Black Friday. And I told my husband, I'm not going to wait for Black Friday to throw my sale. I'm going to launch it on Thanksgiving. And I remember my husband looking at me. This was like 2 days earlier. And he goes, it's never going to work. People are they're with their family. I go, no, they're not. They're bored. They're going to shop. Trust me. And so nobody else did this. I was maybe there was a handful of companies that thought about it back then, but I literally was probably one of the first to do a online Thanksgiving. Amazing. And I literally sent out the email. By the way, my first year, things were so different back then. Like now when you do Shopify, you've got all the integrations for inventory and everything. I didn't have any inventory management system. Yes. So I'm manually, when an order comes in, I'm writing down, click this one. Okay. Yes, this, and I'm making everything myself. Gosh. So it was really kind of funny. At this point, I had one person helping me. I can tell you that story too. But so anyway, I launched it, and we were going to see my parents they live 2 hours away. And I'll never forget, I had my laptop with me and the sales just coming in left and right. I couldn't even keep up. I got to the point where I was like, I can't even do inventory. This is too much. I'm just going to start making stuff and seeing what I run out of, and I'll just start shipping and making stuff. And so that's literally what I did. But I did, in that one day when my husband told me that it wouldn't work, I did, I think, $13,000 in sales. And this was a huge amount
Of
compared to what I'd
course.
been doing. Like, I think my biggest day at that point was $900 in one day. So he just looked at me, and I remember his response when I told him, and when I kept telling him the numbers, oh my God, it's noon and we're at $5,000. He was just like, I think you have a business here.
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, thank you. That's what
Stop
he
it.
said. He goes, I think you have a business, a real business here. And so I was like, yes, I know.
Yes.
So that was the moment. And so and then of course, Thanksgiving, everybody sells on Thanksgiving today.
Of
All of the
course.
Black
Yeah.
Friday starts the Monday or
Or the
the
week
week before.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
so think outside the box. And just because someone says, oh, that'll never work.
Absolutely. And so did you ever at any point have to take outside funding? Or it sounds like you probably didn't.
No, we did actually. We did a friends and family raise, but not until 2020. We were
Like
getting everything ready in 2019.
That's about 10 years in.
Yeah, about 10 years in. Probably 8 or 9. The only reason we did was because we wanted, at that point, we hadn't even thought about or cared about retail, but we were getting to the point that we wanted to get into retail. And I knew that meant I'm going to have to bulk up my inventory. I would have to do, there's the money that goes involved. So we were like, let's just do a small raise so that we can launch into retail the right way. A couple things happened. The main thing that happened when we did our funding was COVID basically happened the day of our launch.
No.
It happened like COVID, of our fund. So we raised, I think we raised around 250,000. I think we wanted 500, but it was literally because COVID was shutting the world down. And then at the same point, we had hired a retail manager when everybody shut down retail. So we kept him on, we paid him to try and do the struggle of retail. And it took about 2 years before we actually started getting.
Well, yeah.
But so we did the raise because of that, but otherwise we wouldn't have needed to.
And at what point, like, obviously, from you telling your story, it's obvious that you weren't thinking about an exit at the beginning of when you started this. This is just purely like, I'm here creating products for my family. And then it's like, oh, maybe I have a business here. You had a CMO that was starting to help you, identify the numbers to look at. Well, let me ask first, like, what would you say for founders who are in those earlier stages? What are the most important metrics to be looking at in your?
I think everybody, I think all of the metrics are important, and having understanding. My husband and I are very unique as a husband-wife team, where that's his world. He understands the marketing and the financials, and I'm the literal creator. So I'm the visionary. So I let him manage, with me just having my view, like high level view of, oh yeah, okay, we're still doing good. I let him manage all of the financials because that was his world and he understood it. But I think it's really important, of course, the bottom line, your margins, I always made sure we had great margins. I wasn't worried about the cost. I was way more expensive than anybody on the market. I'm the first person that was selling tooth powder or toothpaste, whatever you want to call it, a dental product. We were selling it for like $20, and people were buying it. We couldn't make enough of it.
It's the point, of positioning. That's exactly it. It's like you become price insensitive. It no longer matters what you're pricing because you're not trying to compete, like you said, in a red ocean. We had the same thing with our wipes. That was our fragrance wipes were our sort of like gateway. And that's what we led into Sephora. That's what we, landed a lot of hotels and airports was that product by, introducing that product because it was easy. It was accessible. It was on the go. It was $20 for like a few, some wipes, I think it was like 12 wipes in a pack. It introduced people to our full size and it was just a really great entry point into the brand, but it was not.
We struggled. We struggled a little bit with retail because our hero product, our dental powder, was going to be our retail product. And what we struggled with retail of getting it in was the retailers didn't understand it. And
they're always behind.
People would buy. Yes, they are very far
Still
behind.
To the same.
So it took us. Yeah. And so they didn't think people, first of all, would buy powder. Secondly, pay what we wanted them to pay. I had gotten the tooth powder in our local is Mustard Seed in Ohio, near me, our local health food. It had been selling for 3 or 4 years. I couldn't keep it in stock. So we use that with them as the reference point. But in standard types of grocery stores, it didn't sell quite as well.
Total
so,
sense.
but yeah, it's always a struggle when you're setting the bar or rewriting the rules. You're going to have some struggles, and you have to be very creative with the way that you go about handling it, I guess.
So you mentioned, so you're growing the brand. You're really, 8 years in, doing an incredible job just on e-commerce, just considering at that point, wholesale, doing a small raise, really nominal. And at what point did you say, okay, I think it's time to sell this business? And what did you prepare the business for a sale? Because that's a whole nother beast.
So first off, I never thought about selling. We were being approached by different companies or private equity that wanted to buy the brand. So we were being approached all the time. And for probably 3 or 4 years before I even sold the company, we were being approached. Not all the time, like that. It wasn't like every week, but it was enough that it was on our radar. Yeah. And we were getting noticed as a brand that, would be somebody would want to acquire. And so we would, most of the time, my husband would jump on the calls with them and weed them out. Oh yeah, this isn't a good fit. This isn't a good fit. And he would only have me on the calls where he's like, you might want to jump on. This might be. So we were never in the like we need to sell or we want to sell space. We were just like, if the right offer comes up and the right partner, then I might want to exit because I want to have my life back and my kids are getting older. And, this has been great fun, but I don't know that I want to do this.
I would like great fun, but I think it's time for rest.
It's been a lot of stress. I've had more lawsuits than any, like I've been working with attorneys left and right, and I was getting sued all the time for words that nobody owns, and like the Paleo and the Primal, like people thought that they owned these things, and I had so many lawsuits against me. So the struggle of all of that, like there's been so much stress with it that I was like, well, if the right offer comes around, sure. And then you've got all of the other things going on, and I'm sure a lot of people and maybe they don't in the beauty industry, you've got the attorneys that will come after you for, say, you're using the word organic. And
regulations.
Or regulations. And we had somebody come out after us because we didn't have the accessibility or the disability type of little thing, and just all of those things. And so all of those things keep popping up over and over again. So it wasn't that I wanted to sell, but I thought if the right opportunity happens, boy, would I love to not have to deal with all that crap.
100%. Absolutely.
When my husband got a call from the company that we did sell from, they were very close to us. They were only 30 miles from us. We were told a lot of things about what they were doing, and it took us almost 2 years before we actually sold. We actually were going to sell to them, and then in the 11th hour, I reneged. I said, nope, I can't do this. We can't sell for that price. And then they came back with a new deal about 6 months later, where I would still be able to, I would only sell a portion of the company. So I sold at the selling time, it was around 45% of the company is what I sold. I owned 55, but it was only stock. I didn't own any right to vote. No, I couldn't make any decisions. And I was okay with that. I was going to stay with the company for 4 years and help grow the company. And I was, I was the face of the brand. I did all the marketing. I did all the education. And my goal over time was to train someone who could take over. And so the brand would keep just building. And unfortunately, after, knowing this people for 2 years, unfortunately, after we signed on the dotted line, about 2 weeks later, everything went downhill and it became a shit show. Yeah, it became a shit show. And it's in legal right now. I have a lawsuit against them, so I can't say much about the details, but it became a very ugly situation where your heart just goes, oh my God, I can't believe that this is what they're really doing. And so unfortunately, 4 months later, they terminated me. And so I got completely yanked out of the company that I founded, that I loved, that I built.
And that seems to happen so often.
So just so everybody knows, I've worked with some really big attorneys on my case, like even Dave Asprey. I don't know if you know who Dave Asprey is. He's the founding biohacker, Bulletproof Coffee, for anybody that doesn't know who he is. So he was on my board. I built a really good board. My husband actually built the board for me. We had Damon John from Shark Tank was on my board. Yeah, we're still great friends with him. I can ask him questions anytime I want, just text him and he gets right back to me with answers. Dave Asprey's the same way. We've got a lot of connections. My husband has a ton of connections. So that was another way that we were able to build really quickly, was just with those types of connections. But we had Dave Asprey's attorneys actually review and help rewrite and write our complaint and everything. And unfortunately, it's a really solid case that I have. But the legal system is just really interesting.
Yes.
So anyway, I got terminated after 4 months, and so I'm no longer with the brand. I have no control or say over what type of ingredients or the products or anything anymore. So it's really heartbreaking.
I can only imagine, but hoping that it'll, as it proceeds and goes forward, that it'll come out.
I'm sure. Well, the one thing, what I wanted to say, where I was going with that, is that Dave Asprey's attorneys told us that this is literally the new way for like private equity to steal a brand, to steal companies. Because what they do is and it's all based on EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax. Depreciation, amortization. Yeah. So it's all most of the time it's based on EBITDA. And what they do, because they've said that when we started working with them on our case, they said that they had like 20 cases just recently, like within the past 1 or 2 years, of this same thing happening, where they private equity comes in, they buy a part of the company, the founder still has shares in it and stays with the company, and then they they kick out the founder, thinking that so what they do then is they start tanking sales, because everything is based on sales and EBITDA. So they start tanking the company, dropping sales. And what that does as the founder, and we had a clause in my contract that said if they terminated me for cause, then they can buy the remainder of my shares at a 50% discount. So what happens in these cases is then they tank the sales and they terminate the founder for cause, even though most of it's not. And then they end up either getting the company dirt cheap, because they can then evoke that clause that says, now I get the rest of your company. And since sales are down, it's very minimal on the dollar. So that's basically what I'm fighting right now, is, all of that.
Battle, for sure.
Yeah. It's really hard to watch, because then the brand itself
suffers. The people,
isn't
the community.
Yeah.
Like the thing that you built from scratch. I feel the pain. I've heard of that more than once. And that's really, really unfortunate. As you so I have one question. If you were to start a new all over again.
I thought about it.
Yes. If you were to start a new brand all over again, what would you do the same, and what might you do differently?
Well, there's a lot of things. So growing pains that everybody experiences, and me having zero knowledge when I started the first company and business, all of that stuff would come with me. So of course I wouldn't make those same mistakes. I rebranded a million times because we needed to, for whatever reason. Like we had Primal Life Organics, And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
these lawyers are coming after me because the name organics, it signifies something to people. Even though a lot of my products, all of them had organic oils, some products like clay, like the tooth powder, it really doesn't have only the essential oil. And that's a minimal piece of it was organic because clay can't be organic. So it was this big thing. So I had to rebrand and remove the organics off of the Primal Life. So things like that, like really knowing what can I say and what can I not say. So that kind of stuff, labels, when I first started doing my labels, I didn't put barcodes, I didn't put SKUs, I didn't put this, I didn't put that. So I now know how to, so that kind of stuff that you learn over time would make it a lot easier the second time around. I would definitely make it an education brand. Like for me, the products were never the sell. Like they were second hand. They were what I offered as the solution, but the education was the sale.
Right.
Like, yeah, you stink. Your underarms stink because the bacteria is being destroyed by all the chemicals in deodorant and antiperspirants. So in order to make your armpit not stink all day, every day, you need to support the microbiome. You do this by blah, blah, blah. And by the way, you can either make your own product or here I have that I made that will support your microbiome. And, so you give them the problem that they're feeling, the pain points, and why nothing else out there is going to work, the traditional stuff especially, and then you offer the solution. So I would definitely do that marketing strategy and the education. And I would definitely suggest that. I remember when Facebook Live first came out and so many people were terrified of doing Facebook Lives. And my advice to them was, and to this day for video still is, it's not the same because you're not doing as many lives, but back then lives were the thing. I would tell people, look, when you're doing the live, you probably only have a handful of people on anyway. So do the live. And if you hate it, you can delete it.
I know, it's that simple.
Get on and do it. It's that simple. Yeah. So same thing for video. Just do it. If you hate it and it gets no response, you can delete it. You can always delete it. But if you don't put yourself out there and, people relate more to someone who's engaging on a video than images,
and absolutely. I can't even tell you how many people they're like, oh, I watched this video or I listened to this thing, and they want to hear your perspective or what you're all about.
Yeah. And your passion comes through and people can connect to that. And then they want to learn more and know more. And that's how I still get recognized in the airport and all of that, because I put my face out there. I was recognized for my voice. This is how many videos and interviews and things I've done. We were at a restaurant one night and I'm just talking to the friends that I was, and some woman, very pregnant, comes walking around the table. She goes, "You're Trina, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." I go, "Do you know me?" She goes, "I buy your products and I recognize your voice." She goes, "I'm over here sitting with my husband." And I'm like, "That's Trina. I know it is."
That is.
So you have to talk a lot and let people get to know you as a founder.
Funny story apropos of what you just shared. I once was flying back from Chicago to New York to LaGuardia. And I was with my little son, who was at the time, I think he was I was schlepping all my stuff. And I was rushing to go to I think it was a baby shower, right from the airport to this baby shower. And, of course, that is when someone, I guess, recognized me. Well, she did. She recognized me. And I think she either became a C2C member that year or had just become a member a few weeks prior. It was the funniest coincidence. So cool. It just worked out so funnily.
Yeah.
I have a question for you that has nothing to do with this, but kind of has. It definitely has something to do with beauty. So I did the math on you're I was 39 this time when I got pregnant, and now it's so I'm okay, how do you look so young?
I'll be 57 in a couple of weeks.
How do you look so
from when we're recording this? It's my skincare. It's my diet. Okay. Because I eat very clean, but truly it's my skincare, because people don't understand. This is what I teach now in my program, my course. It's called the Holistic Health and Beauty Reset Program, because it's not just about your skincare products aren't just about your beauty, it's about your health. And you can't have beauty without health. But the problem is women, and I just redid the math for everybody. If you Google, and everybody here is in skincare, so this pertains to everybody. If you Google how many skincare or how many toxins are women absorbing daily in their skincare, Dr. Google hasn't changed. I Googled that 10, 15 years ago, and Google said 168. I think it's 168, they say. Women use 12 products, 168 chemicals every day absorbed through their skin. One day, it was probably about 8 months ago. It was very recently. It dawns on me, let me Google that again. So I Googled it, and it was the same information. I'm like, no, Google's wrong. They're wrong. Let me redo the math to 2025 standards, because way back 20 years ago, brands were formulating the products differently, just like food.
Yeah.
So things have evolved. Now, fragrance, when you actually see what's in fragrance, I'm talking the bad stuff, it can be 50 chemicals. So right there's 50 chemicals, and fragrance is in everything that's conventional. So I redid the math. The other problem is water. Water is in everything, and water it's typically tap water in beauty products. It's contaminated with drug waste, including birth control pills. You got to think about what is the majority of our society on: antidepressants, birth control pills, hormonal support, antibiotics. All of that leaches into our water system. So if you think women can't get pregnant because they're biologically having problems, it's because they're still absorbing birth control through their personal care products. But on top of that, tap water has agricultural runoff. So you've got herbicides and pesticides. So this is the type of stuff that the average human doesn't even think about. So when I redid the numbers, women, an average product has probably, and I'm being very light on the numbers, probably between 40 and all the way up to about 70 toxins in them. Women today use approximately 20 to 25 products, because you have to include dental products, hair products, makeup. You have to include nail polish as a daily toxin, multiple toxins, and anyone wearing any kind of artificial nails or nail, all of that. Women, 20 products a day. Let's just say 50 toxins, which is a really light number in a regular product. That's 1,000 chemicals women are absorbing every single day. So Dr. Google is wrong. It's not 168 per Trina Felber. Redid the math. It's more like at least 800 plus chemicals every single day. And we wonder why everyone is so symptomatic. Men are a little bit healthier because they're not using as many products. So men, they're not, but it still affects them, but it's just women are just absorbing. And then you got to think about children and, babies and all of, that, demographic as well. So those are the new numbers that I came up with for 2025. So that's part of my education, and that's everybody can start sharing that information in your marketing. People need to know this, and we're in it together to increase the awareness.
That's wild. And also makes me, I'm like literally going through like, what did I use today? I mean, obviously I use a lot of like natural products, but there's still stuff that's in that routine that's probably not.
And a lot of brands, there's brand washing. I've been calling it brand washing. But the problem with a lot of the ingredients in some of these clean products is that they're using what started out as a plant like coconut, and it's so highly processed that it's longer, like when it's processed with chemicals, and it's no longer really any connection to the plant. So this is like fast food. So I'm comparing most skincare, including clean beauty, a lot of brands, to McDonald's food. So it's the same thing. It's highly processed. Even when a brand is using what they're calling plant-based ingredients, if it still looks like a chemical, it means it's been highly processed. So this is another piece of education all of these brands that, are working with you can do as well, because people don't realize that, they look at the greenwashing. And I just did this the other day I do these reviews all the time for my community. They send me, brands that, they think, yeah. And so I go through and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. And if it's in plastic, no, it's a hard no. Plastic will leach chemicals, plasticizers into your product. So plastic is out. We need to get these messages out. And it's only going to help all of us, because if we're the brand at the top, I call it the food pyramid, we're the brand at the top of the pyramid. We're doing everything right. And we're charging more because we have to. And we don't have to justify it for ourselves. But so many people don't realize that because you're paying more doesn't mean you're spending more. You're literally saving money, because most of our products, or all of our products, don't have water in them. So you're going to use a lot less. And you're going to get like health products. I had a woman, so she went through my course, and in the course what I teach is not detoxing your body. I teach detox your product, detox personal care products, because if you're detoxing your body every single day with beauty products that contain all these chemicals, then you can detox your body every day, but you're not getting to the source.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not cutting it up.
No, that's a great point. That's such a great point.
Yeah. So detox personal care products and you will detox your body.
By effect. We could go on for like, this is fascinating. And like the facts that you're sharing with me, it's just making me like think, what Trina, this is so valuable. How can people find you, learn more from you, like all the things?
I'm active on Instagram. I do have all the other platforms, but Instagram, Trina Felber, just my name. Most of it's all my name, Trina Felber. And then my website, trinafelber.com. And, if you have questions, you can reach out to me at help@trinafelber.com. And I'm here to support people in any way that I can. It's me doing all the stuff. So if I don't get back to you in a while, or it falls off my inbox, just ping me again, because I'm, busy with all my stuff, but I'm more than happy to support whoever I can.
That's amazing. This has been so just like a wealth of knowledge, and I'm wishing you so much good energy for the resolution.
Oh, thank you. I have a really good feeling. Like, everything for that brand has always been, it's always gone very well for me. It was sort of easy because I listened to my gut.
Yes.
And when people gave me information, or, even when people would ask me to make a product, I wouldn't say yes or no. I would literally go, what does my gut say? And then I go with my gut.
Absolutely.
So it was a great company, a lot of great experience. I have so much information and experience now in the beauty industry. So it's been a lot of fun, but thank you. I appreciate you so much.
I love having you part of the community. I know our founders do as well. And until next time, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Beauty and Brand podcast. If you found this valuable, enjoyable to listen to, please leave us a review. We love every single one of them. And until next time, bye everyone.